All right, welcome to another episode of Frags and Beer Radio News, where we get together and talk about the last week in geek and all the things we've seen and all the fun stuff we have to talk about. If you're watching the live show, fantastic. Join the chat. Let us know what you think, any questions you have, or anything you want to hear about, or anything you want to talk about the particular topics we cover. Chat's easy to join. It's there on the right. If you are listening to the recorded broadcast, which a lot of you folks do, and I appreciate it, give the channel a like if you enjoy our videos, because that...
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. Subscribe it because we're trying to get to that custom URL, and we really appreciate it. I'm joined by my co-host, Russell Michaels. Thanks for joining me again,
Hello.
Russell, as usual. And no guest tonight. It's a pretty low-key show. We actually, last week's show was 2 hours. If you have not seen last week's show, it was a great discussion on a lot of stuff, especially Suicide Squad with Crimson Pleasure from Real Women of Gaming. So go check that out on the YouTube channel. Frags of Beer.
Yeah, I think we talked about Suicide Squad for nearly an hour.
Almost, yeah. We really broke that movie down, and there was a lot to break down because it was a fun movie. But there was some issues and there was some good points, and it could either be the death knell or the turning point for the DCEU.
I graded between a 90 and a 95. Somewhere in that ratio.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It was decent. I did like it. I had some issues, but the issues didn't destroy it for me. That's the good thing. I didn't walk out of it so distracted by the problems that I felt.
Kubo and the Two Strings was better, though. Kubo and the Two Strings between 95 and 100. That movie was awesome.
Wow, and
it's in contention for Movie of the Year.
Awesome.
With 3 other films right now.
Because I'm glad to hear that because I was interested in the trailer. It looked really cool. I like some animated movies, but it's been hit or miss. I mean, we either get a really stale. I mean, Pixar started out really good, but every once in a while.
This one was really good. This is the best animated movie of the year so far.
I'm very happy.
It beat out Kung Fu Panda 3. Both very Asian-inspired movies.
Yeah. Obviously. Yes.
But Kubo and the Two Strings also has a really good cover of "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," the George Harrison Beatles song. By Regina Spektor, with a really nice Asian musical accompaniment. The main instrument in the song is the instrument that Kubo plays in the movie. And interestingly enough, the instrument he uses has 3 strings on it, which makes the title of the movie kind of not make sense until you get much later into the movie.
Gotcha.
It's one of those things.
So it's I take it from the trailer, and it looked to be a very and I haven't seen it yet, so I'm basing this totally on what I saw in the trailer. A Chinese myth, or is it a Japanese myth?
I think it's Japanese.
Okay. I had a hard time telling from the trailer because the trailer I did see was very quick, and there wasn't a lot of context, so to speak. But it does look very cool. So yeah, I'm glad to hear it was good. I'm sure we'll. I don't know if we'll go see it in the theaters, but I'm sure we'll see it because it did look pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, jumping into our show, folks. It's gonna be a lighthearted show because last week's show was huge. So we want to get right to it. So really cool. Most of this is new stuff. We're gonna talk about some deep stuff when we get later on. But the first little bit of news, I pulled this out because I have a buddy of mine who's huge into the hobbyist, the micro PC, the Raspberry Pi. I think the other one that's been out is called the Lemon Pi. And this new one coming out has just hit its, I believe it was a Kickstarter, and it is called the Omega 2. I believe it is called. This is the next contender. Yeah, Onion's Omega 2. The Kickstarter was an initial goal of $15,000. They got 11,560 backers and came in at a grand total of 446,000, almost 447.
That's pretty good.
That's insane.
Pretty damn good.
But what this is, and if you're not familiar with the Raspberry Pi or the Lemon Pi or what these are, they're hobbyist PCs. This one's Linux based, and what they're very small PCs that are used for very specific tasks. Like, for instance, a buddy of mine uses his to run a media center because he doesn't need a lot of memory. He doesn't need a big CPU. He doesn't need any of this big bells and whistles to play music or play movies from an external hard drive to, say, a monitor or speakers. So this thing fits in a plastic box. The case for it is about the size of a cell phone. It's very small. This one, this Omega 2, looks even smaller. This one is going to retail, it looks like the base model is going to retail for $5. 580 megahertz CPU, 640 megabytes of memory, 16 megabytes of storage, built-in Wi-Fi. This is where they're going to get it, because I do not believe the Raspberry Pi has built-in Wi-Fi. I think you have to buy an external unit to add Wi-Fi to it, and a USB 2 port. So where the Pi has to be connected to your network, or you have to get a separate unit to make it Wi-Fi, this thing will be built in. You'll be able to move this thing wherever you want to within your network range. And use it on your own network. The $9 model is going to be 128 mega memory, 32 mega storage, probably the same CPU because it doesn't list it. Now, compared to the Raspberry Pi, the base model, or the Raspberry Pi Zero, has a 1 gig processor, but it does not have that built-in Wi-Fi, and I think that's going to be the thing that puts this one in competition, even though it's a slightly slower, smaller package.
It's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
they're able to do this. They're able to do this with a really nice video card.
Yeah.
And can play Steam on it. It will blow everything out of the water.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if they're able to make video card, they're able to hook up a cheap video card. It's like a video card that can play good Steam games. I'd get this. Because I can hook up an external hard drive to it, and as long as it's Wi-Fi connected, I can download all my Steam games and have everything work out. Yep. That would just be good for everybody.
Absolutely, and what a lot of guys, and what I'm hearing guys are doing with this is either they're using it to run like media centers where you don't need a lot of processing power, or they're using it to build their arcade boxes. You know, a lot of guys are getting into building a box. They build the box, they get the screen, they put everything together, and rather than having one arcade station for each game, they're building these arcade stations that have a selectable library of like up to 300, 600 games or whatever, and they're playing these really old classic, like retro 8-bit and arcade games, Atari era games, and they're using the Pis to run them because it's cheap. Like, the most expensive thing in your unit is not the PC you have to build just to run these really old games. They're putting these in there and running these really cool arcade boxes because all the games are old. They don't need a lot of processing power. They don't need a ton of memory. When you're trying to play Centipede or Galaga, you just don't need that. I think it's cool. The company is trying to compete because Raspberry Pi is huge. A lot of people don't know about it unless you're in the industry. Like, I work in a company where we design software, we build websites, and we're always looking for cool new gadgets and things to work into the stuff that we do. And so a lot of us are familiar with the Pi. Some people over the last couple of years are familiar with Raspberry Pi because they've decided to weigh in on some of the gaming issues and the gaming controversy, and even block potential customers and stuff because they don't like them or whatever. But I'm glad to see another company is stepping into the ring and has been so far so successful, because that's a staggering. I know we all like to look at like Star Citizen makes however many millions of dollars on their Kickstarter, but a little company that only wants $15,000 and winds up with 35 times that, like, that's just insane. So very cool for those guys.
Did you hear about Amazon's Lumberyard?
No, I haven't. What's that?
Amazon's Lumberyard beta. It is a free AAA game engine for making video games.
No kidding. So
and it's fully integrated with Twitch.
So anybody could download their engine
and make video games.
It's
a free cross-platform 3D game engine for you to create the highest quality games, connect your games to vast compute and storage of the AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, cloud, and engage fans on Twitch.
So probably also allowing you to market those games on Amazon's...
Probably.
But
there's probably... I imagine some people would probably greenlight their games on Steam as well. I doubt, because it's open source.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of stuff on there. But I'm curious, is it...
Oh, it's free with full source. It's free, including full source code, so you can deeply customize Lumberyard for your team and your vision for your product today. And for future projects in years to come, there are no seat fees, subscription fees, requirements to share revenue. You only pay for the AWS service you choose to use.
Holy smoke! That's actually pretty big.
I imagine a lot of Kickstarter projects are probably looking at this right now.
Yeah, anything to compete, because right now you've only got. I mean, you've got what, Unity, for the games you want to make. For a lot of different types of games you want.
There's a lot of 2D. There's a lot of free 2D ones. Like there's that one that allows you to make point and click adventure games.
Right.
Like really basic ones. I think it was called Adventure Editor or something.
Yeah, there's a couple.
It's the one that the Chizo Mythos games. You ever play the Chizo Mythos games by Yatsu Krocha? Yeah, they are survival horror point and click adventure games. They're very, very good. He made them. Let's see. He made them on. The name for it. Let me just find it quickly. He made it using the Adventure Game Studio. Adventure Game Studio.
That's actually that's big news, because that could be great. The struggle that a lot of indie companies have is they cannot always afford to get the premium development software. And especially with small teams, they can't always afford to develop.
There's that expensive one, Game Maker Studio.
Yeah, you got Game Maker, you got Unity, you got RPG Maker, and then of course you've got, and the name escapes me, and it shouldn't because it's huge. It's the same engine that ran Doom for a while, and
oh crap, that's the. Oh, why am I blanking on that one?
The name just flew right out. I mean, you got.
Isn't there also the Half-Life 2? The Half-Life 2 engine. What's that one called?
I think that one's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's different, but it's the one that Gary's mod was built on.
I don't know, because now I'm.
I think it's just called the Doom engine.
No, okay, Doom engine might be separate. There's Quake, the Quake engine. You can license the Quake engine. But that
the Quake engine. Yeah, there's several ones you can license.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are good bases for games. Like I'm very surprised that certain games don't make their engine available. What would be a good example of a game that would really? Trying to think of
one that's not available. That's a relatively good engine. I mean, as much as people hate it, the Frostbite 3.5 engine was actually really good.
Which played what games?
Battlefield.
Oh, Battlefield. Yeah, and 4. There was that one multiplayer game with destructible environments. I forget what game it was called. You had like jetpacks and you had stuff like that in it. That game probably has an engine available for license. Destructible environments is just a good idea.
It is.
You get that made. You make that available as an engine.
The first game I saw that in was Red Alert. Was it Red Alert? The second Red Alert?
It might have been Red Alert.
Factions?
Yeah, it's one of them. Red Alert Factions. I'm probably
getting that wrong, and people are probably going to scream at me that I'm getting that wrong, but I haven't played it in a long time. But the first game I saw with Destructible
I know Nerd Cubed played it at one point.
Was like that, because all I remember is there was a pit you had to get out of, and the only way to get out of it was to destroy handholds in the wall with your rocket launcher so that you could climb out of the pit. That's why I remember that one. I Red Faction. It's not Red Alert Faction. It was Red Faction. Red Faction was the first game I played anyway that had any sort of destructible environment type deals going on. But yeah, that's huge for smaller companies that can't afford to license Unity or license the Quake engine or use any of these other big features. That's actually really cool. And Amazon's a huge company. I know a lot of people give Amazon flack for having so many different their hands in so many different parts of the market. And being like the Walmart of online marketing and merchandising, but having my book, two of my stories are on Amazon Kindle. It's completely free for me to sell my books to you on Amazon. They do actually help a lot of young, struggling, independent artists and stuff get their work out there. So that's really cool. I did not find that story, so good catch, Russell. Good catch.
Yeah. I saw that on an Amazon promoted tweet.
Very cool. Yeah, promoted tweets.
Looked into it. It looks really cool. It looks really cool.
That's cool. So that sort of ties into the next story we found, and this is now the headline. is a little skewed. I had to read into the article. Actually, Russell pointed out something that I missed when I read the article the first time, but I'm reading this on ZD.net from August 18th, that the millions of Steam game keys were stolen. And at first I read this headline and I went, oh, that kind of sucks, but it didn't bother me that much because it's just Steam game keys that were stolen. I'm sure they know which keys. They're going to have a log of which keys. If you use one of the stolen game keys, your account's going to get locked down. You're going to lose the game. So, more power to these guys that just stole a shitload of keys that probably got invalidated within an hour of them being stolen. But when you read further into this, it was actually taken from a site called DLH.net, which is a site that works with Steam, or it's a forum connected to Steam in some.
So it's not actually connected to Steam in any real way. It's like a fan site. It's for people to exchange keys and stuff.
Gotcha.
That's really all it's for.
So it's used to exchange keys, which is probably why they tell you not to share your damn passwords and Steam keys on forums. But anyway, this site got hacked, and if you use DLH.net, you need to get right into your Steam account, and you need to change everything because they got a hold of full names, usernames, scrambled passwords, email addresses, date of birth, join dates, avatars, Steam usernames, and your Facebook access token if you use Facebook to log into DLH.net. So if you use DLH.net to share your Steam information, your Steam keys, etc., if you just use it at all, you probably want to get in. You want to change your Facebook passwords. You want to change your Steam passwords. And make sure, because they stole Steam keys. I don't know if they stole unused Steam keys or if they stole keys to the games that you.
Well, if they're used Steam keys, they're completely worthless. But
I would think so, but I don't know. I would also.
I know they're completely worthless.
Yeah.
If they've been redeemed, you can't use them. They're completely worthless.
So yeah, because but like I said, these guys got in there. 9.1 million Steam keys were in the database of this website. It's estimated that 3.3 million unique registered users may be affected.
It's not good.
No. So guys, if you use this website, go in and change your stuff. If you were sharing your information or you were trading Steam keys or anything on this site, you're at risk for doing something you probably shouldn't have been doing. But go change your shit and get your stuff.
You're allowed. Well, if you get it in Steam keys, you're allowed to do whatever you want with them. You want to give them as gifts. It's what a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers do. Is rewards for certain things.
But it's an insecure method to take that key, because you can if another Steam user is going to redeem that key, you can send it to them as a gift through the Steam app. You don't have to take that key to a website and private message it to anybody, because they're on the Steam. I mean, they can't redeem a Steam key unless you have a Steam account. So I don't know. I don't know why anybody would take the Steam key to a forum and drop it in a private message to somebody else. But that's apparently what happened, and a lot of them have been stolen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Change your shit, man. Update your passwords and get all that stuff fixed, because that's gonna bite you if you forget. So yeah, that's that. We do have some good news. We have some happy news. And I throw this in there because I'm a spiteful bastard and I don't care. But Gawker.com. This headline is from Thursday at 12:50 by J.K. Trotter on Gawker.com. Gawker.com is going to end operations next week. Now, this was posted on Thursday, so that's this week. Gawker.com is going down. I have to say, I feel bad for the people who are losing their jobs. But then again, when you lie with pigs, you end up smelling like shit.
It's when you lie with dogs.
Yeah.
So I think it's lie with dogs, you come away with fleas.
You do. Whichever expression you want to use. If you worked for a company like Gawker and you didn't know what Gawker was or what Gawker did.
It's a mean-spirited gossip site. That's what it is.
And the fact that they were doing shady shit, and I don't want to hear all this, yes, Gawker has every right to print whatever the fuck they want. They have the right to free speech, but your right to free speech ends at somebody else's right to privacy. Your right to free speech ends at somebody else's right to not be libeled. Your right to free speech ends at somebody else's rights, period. So, yes, Gawker had the right to print whatever they wanted. And they could print garbage all freaking day long. They crossed the line, it violated somebody else's rights, and that's when it became an issue. So, a judge said take a video down. Gawker said no, too freaking bad. Gawker outed a gay, was it Thiel?
Yeah, Peter Thiel, I believe. He's a billionaire.
He has a right to make the decision when he publicly says that he's gay. Gawker decided to take that away from him. Gawker violated his rights. So your rights end where my rights begin. And sorry, Gawker, but your rights to free speech allowed you to print all the shit you wanted to until you crossed that line. So Gawker's going down. A lot of the other sites, hopefully, are going down. I'm glad that
the only site that's been bought by Univision, which is the Spanish channel, media company that owns a couple Spanish channels.
Gawker, right? They didn't buy.
They bought Gawker Media, and they're shutting down Gawker. They're going to continue operating all the other sites, which includes Kotaku and I believe the Wonket, which is a political site, and a few other ones. But they're shutting down Gawker because of how toxic it is.
Hopefully
that one's going down.
Yeah, hopefully they clean some shit up. I did see that there is a very detailed ethics policy, and I wish I had kept it. But one of the Gawker Media sites posted Univision's, I think it was Univision's, very detailed ethics policy, which is hopeful. Hopefully, if they want to keep... I mean, Kotaku has a huge reach. As much as I despise Kotaku, I can't deny the fact that a lot of people read Kotaku. For a lot of... Not just gamers, because Kotaku covers a large portion of geek and technology and the nerd sphere and whatever you want to call it. So hopefully they can clean it up. I would love to see... I'm not that spiteful. Gawker I have a special hatred for. Because... they, yes, of course, Sam Biddle made a stupid joke, and it was a stupid joke. But to me, the leading cause for teen suicide in the United States is not something to joke about. Sam Biddle's not a comedian. He wasn't up on stage. When a comedian makes jokes about things that are sensitive subjects, they are either A, doing it in a way to bring awareness to that subject, or they're B, talking about a subject that is offensive in a way to show how silly it is to do that thing. Like, for instance, Daniel Tosh. Daniel Tosh is constantly making racist jokes and racist shit. He is not... And
rape jokes and things like that.
He is not a racist person. He makes those jokes to show how completely ridiculous racism is. He's a comedian. That's his job.
Yes.
Sam Biddle is not up on stage. Sam Biddle was not a comedian. And Sam Biddle did not say that nerds deserve to be bullied because he thinks bullying is a ridiculous enterprise. He said it because he didn't like nerds at the time, and he thought it would be funny to say nerds deserve to be bullied. Well, I was bullied. My son was bullied, and a lot of kids out there are bullied. And the leading cause of childhood suicide is bullying. So... I have a special place in my dark heart for Gawker going down. So, very happy to bring you that news, folks. We don't have to...
we're all happy about it.
We don't have to...
I think we're all happy about it. Certain people in the media weren't happy about it. No. But, yeah. I don't know why they weren't, because they all pushed Gawker as some paragon of journalism. It's not. No. It was a gossip. It was a glorified, mean-spirited gossip site.
Yes.
That's all it really was. They said some awful... Basically, if they dislike somebody, they're going to try to destroy them as best they can.
Oh, yeah.
And pay some people tens of thousands of dollars for scoops on those people.
Yep. And they were just mean folks. And yeah, like I said, if you didn't know how bad Gawker was and you worked there, I'm really sorry you lost your job. Hopefully you find something soon. I know you're not listening to this, but I'm still sending it out there. If you knew what Gawker was and you stayed there anyway, you get what you deserve. If you are willing to work for a company like that and turn a blind eye to the shit that they did, that karma's a bitch. So, that's it for the happy news. No, there's probably more happy news. Actually, there's not. Today's show, not so happy news for our highly highly anticipated game called No Man's Sky.
That came out on Xbox 360, Steam, and PS4, right?
Right. I think it's hit PC already too, hadn't it?
Yeah, so it's PC, Xbox One, sorry, and PS4, right?
I think so. Yeah. I'm looking through the article, see if it has release, because I know they didn't all release on the same day. I think PC players had to actually wait a couple of days.
Of course they do. Usually that's the case because it's higher graphics usually.
Usually.
But yeah, it's people are calling it tedious and boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, some reviews, because some reviewers don't play the game for hours and hours on end when they get it. I mean, it's an open-ended game with very little in the means of plot. It's just it's basically an exploration simulator.
Yes.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's a space exploration simulator. You don't really get to do much else other than that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. And, So, yeah, I think the most interesting thing I heard about it was that somebody found a plant that looked like a penis bouquet. And it's the most interesting thing that came out of No Man's Sky.
You know what surprises me about that actually is that it's not that the stuff's not player created, because if we remember, and people have been making the comparison, and I made the comparison when I first heard of No Man's Sky. Really cool concept, really poor execution. That's what I expected, and that is what we got. And I bought way back when I bought Spore. Spore sounded like an awesome game. Oh my god, this game sounded amazing. And after I played it for about 6 to 8 hours, I realized it was a really cool concept with really poor execution. And of course, one of the first things that got created was a penis monster. So I'm amazed.
Yes, you know what would have been awesome? You know what would have been really well? That's procedurally generated, the penis bouquet.
Yeah, that's
you know how Spore could have been awesome if it was just the character creator and it was then a fighting game.
Yeah, like
that would have everyone. Yeah, all it had to have was a basic. It would have to have a collision engine on it for that kind of combat. And then if they just made it a character creator with online combat, it would have been awesome. I'm surprised. I'd be very surprised if somebody hasn't modded that into the game.
I would probably actually have played that.
Yeah.
But that's
you can make whatever you want with whatever to a certain, like, as your rankings go up, you get to use more. As rankings go up, you get to use more items or something.
Yeah, maybe
more
you get parts from the other.
Like you have like each part has a specified value attached to it.
Yeah.
Specified value attached to it, and you can make it a certain thing. And like your size of your affects your power and things like that.
Yeah. And I thought that was funny because, like I said, one of the first things that was created in the community monster creator was a penis monster, and it's funny that a procedurally generated computer planet, comes out looking like a penis bouquet. That's kind of funny. But the article I pulled out, actually, because I didn't want it to be completely like shitting on No Man's Sky, which Steam and Metacritic. You know what, the disparity between, if you look at the critics' reviews, which aren't amazing, the critics' reviews for No Man's Sky are kind of, it got like 72 or 72, I think is.
That's not terrible considering that Suicide Squad, a very fun movie, got like a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes.
72 is like, I mean, that's graded out of 100. That's a C. That's an adequate grade. You would pass high school with all C's. So No Man's Sky is a passing. But it gets like 40% when you go to the player reviews. It's 40. It's terrible. Or 4 point. They don't rate the play. It's like 4.2 or so. It's in the red. It's awful. Steam, when I looked like a week ago, 40% of the Steam reviews are negative, which is, and we're talking out of like, at the time it was like 38,000 reviews. That's incredible. Like, that is an incredible number to have 40% of your reviews be negative for a game of this magnitude that was released on Steam, and to have 38,000 reviews. I mean, it released a week and a half ago, and I didn't.
Yeah, it was. I think like most games, doesn't it come out on Tuesdays?
Yeah, I think it came out 2 weeks, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, and then I wrote an article about it over the weekend. I was looking at Steam, so in less than a week, it had almost 40,000 reviews, and 40% of those reviews were negative. That is ridiculous. But, like I said, I pulled out this specific article on Motherboard from August 19th about Hack the Planets because I didn't want it to be completely shitting on No Man's Sky. It's still a game that people worked a lot of time for, and a lot of people spent a lot of money on it. There are people out there that enjoy the game. I know a few people that play the game and actually like it. But good news for people who are kind of on the fence. If you bought the game and you're not sure, or you bought the game and you didn't get a refund, I know a few people that got a refund like right as soon as they played it. My son returned it before it was even 2 hours old.
Yeah, Deus Ex Human Revolution. Deus Ex. The newest Deus Ex comes out. I forget what the subtitle is for it, but I believe that came out today.
Oh, very cool. So there's some good news. But in this particular case, on Motherboard on August 19th, the article is called Hack the Planets.
Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided is for Deus Ex. Modders are tearing apart the No Man's Sky universe. And specifically, this quote is that the modders could not wait for the company to fix the game. So they have gone back. They've been modding the shit out of No Man's Sky. 18, how many different mods? There was a number that I
saw somebody is working on I saw something and it just makes sense. Rick and Morty, involving Rick and Morty with it would be awesome.
Very cool.
You ever watch Rick and Morty?
No, a friend of mine recommends it to me and I haven't read it yet.
Here's the way I look at it. I watched the first episode, wasn't that impressed, got back to it and watched the entire rest of the series, which has been 2 seasons.
Nice.
In about 3 or 4 days. It's really the first episode is probably my least favorite. That's how I would. But all the show is really, really clever. It's basically Back to the Future if Doc Brown was drunk all the time.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we'll definitely check it out.
Some people are melding that with it, melding Rick and Morty with it. Rick and Morty is really because Rick and Morty, they go to alien planets all the time.
Right.
But the thing is, the problem with this with No Man's Sky is that the aliens you encounter don't speak your language, so you have to piece together their language over a period of time. It's just boring.
Yeah.
You think that these intelligent species would have found a way to do universal translate, especially that robot race you encounter. You think they would have been able to figure out a universal translator.
You would think, yeah.
But no.
But good news for you guys, there are well over 60 mods out now. Some of them fix problems with the game. One of them removes what they're calling the Instagram filter, the yellow filter, to make the game look a little better. That one, it says, has been downloaded 12,000 times already to get rid of the yellow filter. There's the mod that replaces some of the sounds with music from Rick and Morty or sound bites from Rick and Morty. You got some Star Trek sound bites in there. PC release of the game, almost 800,000 views on the No Man's Sky mods website since the release of the game. And 60,000 downloads. So obviously some of you know about it. If you don't know about it, get out there and check it out. Check out this article. If you want to keep your No Man's Sky or you like it enough to give it more than one chance, there you go. You can get some of these things fixed before the company's willing to fix them. So yeah, some good news for you folks out there that enjoy it. I couldn't get into a game like this. I mean, call me whatever you want to call me a freaking shitlord Dubro, but I need some combat and I need my space flight simulator to have a little more than just discovering a planet and landing on it and scanning animals.
Yeah.
That's me.
Well, the big problem, if you could build in it like Minecraft, people probably wouldn't have as big of a problem with it as much. And if there was more hostile creatures, which there isn't as much.
Is there quests? Is there anything to do other than
not that I know of
to a planet, land on the and the big thing, honestly, and this is what kills me. I am tired of always online first person or first player or single player games. For instance, Fallout 4 tied to my Steam account. If the Steam servers go down, I can't play Fallout 4, which is a completely single player game. So why would I want an online all the time multiplayer game that I don't actually see anybody in? That is double ridiculous. Like, I get that, you get to see that other people name their planets and the animals they discover, and that's really cool and all, but if I'm going to play a game that's always online that I can only play when I have an internet connection, why the hell would I want to lose out on half the experience of playing a game online, which is running into other people? Like, how antisocial could you possibly be to play a game like this that's so huge and not actually run into another thinking human being? That's a big one for me. Like, I thought this, and I guess a lot of people, it was implied or insinuated or even stated that this game was going to be multiplayer, and it's not. And that's a huge disappointment. So I don't even know if that's something they could eventually add. I'm not sure if the game's designed to render other, because it's not like you can just patch something like that in. The game has to be designed to render the other players, and it has to have netcode so that you have the back and forth between your computer and their computer. Like, it's not something you can just patch in a few lines of code and make it work, unless it was already built in to begin with and they just turned it off for some stupid reason.
Like, the ability to explore planets that have already been discovered, like renamed.
Yeah.
Adding that ability would make everything so much easier. I mean, allow you to run into people, maybe.
Yeah, or if you land on a planet and you colonize it, you know, let them colonize it, and then you name the people whatever you want. You leave behind colonists, and then some other player could come along and land on that planet and decide to integrate or take it over. You know, like, there needs to be more. I get some people like, oh, this is a peaceful flying game where I could just fly around and discover stuff. That's cool for you. And if that's the way the game stays, I'm sure that it will probably find enough people to keep it going. But some of us need a little more conflict in our gaming, because if I just want to sit and passively watch something happen, I can watch TV. I can watch TV all day long and just passively experience something. I don't.
Yeah, that's why I watch Let's Plays a lot instead of buying games.
Yeah,
I don't have money to buy games all the time.
That's your thing, but I like to actively experience things too, and that's why I play video games, so I can actively experience.
I play video games too. It's just that certain games I don't want to pay money for.
Right.
Yeah. I'd rather see somebody play it and then stop playing it because the game's horrible. Or the Telltale, or I play or watch the Telltale games, which are very, very plot driven.
Very much so.
And man, will they make you cry sometimes. The Walking Dead ones.
Oh yeah, and I'm interested in those. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy TV and I enjoy movies. I enjoy a passive entertainment experience, but not video games. I don't sit in front of my computer and watch nothing but cutscenes all day long. I sit in front of my computer and I play. I actively engage in the game. So a game like No Man's Sky just doesn't make me feel it. Like, I just don't. I have zero interest. But hopefully you guys out there that do have the interest and do have it, you can find these mods, get your game fixed up, or get all the cool little bells and whistles and perks and tweak it however you want and have fun with it, because ultimately we all like different games. We all like to play them different ways. Get out there and enjoy that game if you like it, and get some mods to tweak it the way you want. So that's at least some good news in what has been a week and a half of utter shitstorm with this game. So yeah, our final topic, and I don't know how much you follow and I only follow him because of
the Unreal Engine.
That's the one I was trying to think of.
There you go. I was Googling something and it came up. I was Googling a word and it turns out it's the name of a game on Steam, and I click it and it comes a Steam thing and it shows the Unreal Engine. So it's like, there we go.
That's another big one. Yeah.
Slow burn on that question.
That's all right. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Look shit up and figure it out. So I don't know how much you follow it, Russell, but do you pay attention at all to any of the literary awards out there?
Well, I heard about the Sad Puppies. That happened last year. I heard about that because it was mostly done by people in the Gamergate community, so I heard about it.
There was a big connection because of the way the two communities have been treated, so to speak.
Well, most award ceremonies are voted on by people who are very liberal, so it's not surprising that the Hugo Awards have a problem in that regard. Right. Just like the Oscars have a problem in that regard, that they become echo chambers for problems, and they they want to make more inclusive. They don't talk about quality, they talk about it's quality. I don't read a lot of science fiction. I'll say that much. But I really loved Ready Player One, which came out in 2011 and came in a loot crate in last year.
I'm looking forward to reading that.
There's a real did you get the loot crate it came in?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Yeah, read that book. It's really good. It's one of the best books I've ever written. I read it in one sitting. I couldn't stop reading it once I started reading it. It's very good.
So for anybody who's not familiar, if you only have a passing interest in the way this works, is the Hugo Awards are they have been in the past very prestigious, because unlike a lot of small awards, you have to pay to be a member of the group that gets to vote. So not everybody gets to vote. I want to say that there was 3,000 valid, 3,100 valid ballots this year. So you're talking there might be somewhere around 5,000 members, 3,000 of them voted. Not a lot of people vote on these things. And just like Russell said, the science fiction community has had this pervasive drive over the last few years to do what it's already been doing. And I'm going to say this, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it. The science fiction community, just like the gaming community, the geek community, the tabletop community, have always been the most tolerant, most progressive. And I say progressive not in the sense of the bad progressive, but progressive in a way that moving toward a society where people are not judged based on how they choose to live or who they choose to love or what they happen to look like or how they were born or any of that stuff. That kind of progressive.
Yeah, not the political progressive. Right. That's a different story.
We have always been that way. And sure, it has been a slow march toward the quote-unquote utopia that people want. Because, and I'll say it again, I've said it a million times, but my utopia is not your utopia. Anybody that comes to you peddling utopia is a liar, because they are not selling
unless their utopia isn't actually utopia. It's just the only utopia it is I define a utopia as free will. So basically, reality is the utopia.
Your utopia is personal. What I view as the perfect world is not what you view as the perfect world. So anybody that comes to me selling the perfect world is not selling my perfect world. They're selling theirs. So the science fiction community has always been moving toward that, because bottom line, to read a book about, let's say, my favorite particular genre of science fiction fantasy is high fantasy. To read a book about elves and dragons and magic and wizards and all of that, I already have to have a pretty open mind. I already have to accept things that are not the way they are right now. So in order to be a science fiction or fantasy reader, you already have to be willing to open your mind to things that are not as they are right now. Otherwise, you can't... people who have closed minds generally don't read science fiction and fantasy because they already can't accept the premise of what they're reading. So the Hugo Awards have, and this is what has killed me over the years. The Hugo Awards, yes, have been predominantly won by white male writers. As they continue to progress and become more inclusive, they still got won by predominantly white male writers. As the Sad Puppies came along and said, hey, wait a minute, there are a lot of really good authors out there who are getting snubbed because of their particular politics, or the science fiction community has become too PC and they've spoken out, and they've been snubbed. They've said, hey, wait a minute, we have some authors here we would like included. So they created these slates. If you're not familiar with what happened, is the Sad Puppies and the Rabid Puppies, two completely separate groups, have created slates where they want people to nominate particular authors. And last year was the real big year. They've been doing, I think, 3 years now. Last year was the second year, and last year they got a lot of authors, writers, because it's not just writers, it's short story writers and editors, script writers for movies, TV shows, etc., etc. They created these slates, and they're like, please nominate these people because we think they're awesome, and a lot of people went and nominated the people on these slates to get awards. The Sad Puppies managed to produce the most diverse set of nominees that the Hugo Awards has probably ever seen last year, including, and the Sad Puppies, who are apparently racist, homophobic, conservative, awful Nazi shitlords, these Sad Puppies, nominated gay authors, black authors, female editors, Asian, Indian, the list goes on. The Sad Puppy slate was the most diverse slate that Hugos have probably ever seen. And most of the voters voted no award in so many categories.
That was the previous year's one. That was what, 7, 8, or 9 categories, something like that.
It was ridiculous what happened last year, and it pissed me off because as an aspiring writer who does not hold, so to speak, toe-the-line liberal beliefs.
It's bullshit that you're allowed to do that. That means that the awards went ungiven. Awards just weren't given out. That's
exactly.
stupid.
And the whole reason, and I don't think it should be voted on. Here's why the no awards category. Here's why no award exists. And my wife asked me this because she didn't understand why could you have no award. Well, what it is, and I read the rules on this because I wanted to understand it too. If one nominee does not take a majority of the vote, no award is where it goes. If there is no, I think they have to take at least a third of the vote. Or it's considered sort of a tie, so they give it to no award. But the problem was that happens every once in a while. Every once in a while, a category just nobody can decide. Like everybody ties, so they give no award because they don't want to say, well, this guy won by 10 votes, so he gets the award, because it's too close. Last year was a record year for no awards because people actively voted no award, which I don't think you should be able to do. That shouldn't just be on the ballot. It should be no award if there's no clear winner, but you shouldn't be able to vote no award. So that happened last year. And they managed to produce another very lily white, almost male winning bracket for the Hugo Awards because they tried to spite the Sad Puppies, who put out some pretty good authors. And some people disagree, but there's some good names on that ballot. It's a very diverse ballot. And again, they produced a very white, mostly male winning circle, as usual, for their very supposedly inclusive group of people. This year, the Hugos happened again. Thankfully, only a couple, I think 2 categories went no award this year, which is better because honestly, don't pun. The problem was, here's what the problem was: some of the people who were nominated by the Sad Puppies did not want anything to do with them. They were nominated because the Sad Puppies group put forward works they thought were good, even if that particular author or editor or writer or whoever did not agree with the Sad Puppies. That was the thing. There were several people on the Sad Puppies slate that did not understand why they were on it because they were not involved with the whole movement.
Yep.
So those guys lost too, which is kind of crappy. You made people lose who had nothing to do with it. They were just nominated by people you don't like. That's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
2 categories went no award, which is better. But one of the categories, for instance, I saw this guy's tweets. Hello Greedo from the Hello Greedo Fancast. The best fan cast was one of the things that went no award. And he tweeted out the other night that he would have rather have lost than for the category to go no award. Because like he said, the people above him, because he did take last place even below no award, he said the people above him were amazing podcasters and amazing people. And one of them, I think he said he would have voted for Tales to Terrify, which took second place to no award. He says he would have rather have lost than for the category to go no award, because that's just shitty to do that. But I mean, that's what we're getting now, and it's a closed vote system. Like you said, it's an echo chamber because you got to be a member to vote. Actually, it looks like 3 went no award. I just found another one. Some good winners, though. The script for The Martian, the screenplay for The Martian, went to Best Dramatic Presentation, which was good. I like the movie.
The Hugo Awards awards things to Hollywood movies as well?
To the screenplay.
Oh, yeah.
The writer, Drew Cottard, won for screenplay. So yeah, it's still writing. I mean, the guy had to write. It's basically it's a book. It's just written in a different format.
Yeah.
But second place with Mad Max. The other one
stage direction.
Right. Yeah. The other one on the ballot was Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Ex Machina was on there, and Avengers: Age of Ultron were on there. But The Martian took best screenplay, which I thought was really good. Neil Gaiman won for The Sandman Overture for best graphic novel.
Which no one is surprised by.
Yeah, no, Neil Gaiman is, he is who he is for a reason. He's damn good. But yeah, the Hugo, Jessica Jones won for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form. So the script for not necessarily the script, because there were, 13 episodes, but For TV show writing, Scott Reynolds won. Scott Reynolds, Melissa Rosenberg, and Jamie King won for Jessica Jones.
Good show.
I guess it was one episode, a.k.a. Smile, was the episode they won for.
Whichever one that was.
Yeah, I don't remember, because I never pay attention to show titles. I see the titles for individual episodes, and I have no idea what people are talking about, because I don't pay attention to that, especially the Netflix shows. I just watch them. It's like one long movie for me.
Luke Cage comes out at the end of September, so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, looking forward to that. The other big category, and this is the one, I was a little mistaken on this one. I thought Best Professional Artist went to no award. It did. It went to Abigail Larson. So at least it went to an actual artist. It went to somebody. But Larry Elmore, and if you don't know who Larry Elmore is, go out and look Larry Elmore up. Larry Elmore is a legend when it comes to fantasy art. He has been with Dungeons & Dragons and its spin-offs and its various offshoots forever. He worked for TSR back when TSR was working out of an attic in Wisconsin. If you read fantasy, chances are you've seen a Larry Elmore cover. No award in Best Professional Artist, took second place. So that means Larry Elmore lost to no award, which is horse shit. I'm just going to tell you, not only am I biased because Larry Elmore he's my favorite artist. He does my favorite piece. You want to look it up, Google The Death of Sturm, Sturm. Google The Death of Sturm and look at that painting. I have a print of that painting. I wished I owned the original. He is the nicest guy. I've met him about 5 times now at various conventions. He is so nice. He's got such great stories to tell about his time working for TSR and doing art, how he does paintings, his friends, some of them who have passed. I mean, this is a really awesome dude. He's a really great painter. If Abigail Larson is a better painter, awesome. But I guarantee you no award is not a better artist than Larry freaking Elmore. So
yeah, I know.
You people that voted that way, you fucking shitheads. I'm sorry, that just irritates the shit out of me. So, yeah, that's our big one. The Hugo Awards, I pretty much I wrote it off last year. I'm continuing to write it off this year. I still write. I'm an aspiring author, and quite frankly, if the Hugo Awards are the way they are in the very slim event I'm ever nominated, I'll tell them to take me right off the ballot. I want no part of this. I'm looking forward to the Dragon Awards that are coming up at Dragon Con. Because like a lot of people said, if the Sad Puppies want their own award show, they need to go create it. Well, Dragon Con is having its first open to the public, open to the fans award show this year. So that means no echo chamber, no buying in, no buying votes. It's going to be an open, and I'm looking forward. Lots of great names are nominated. Lots of cool people are up there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the results for Dragons Awards come out this year. And hopefully we'll be able to talk about that and share that with you on an upcoming show. So, anything you want to throw out there, Russell?
Not really. I don't really think about what's happening. That movie Hands of Stone comes out this weekend, which is the boxing movie. I think it's based off of... actually, look, I know it's based off of some story. I think it's based on a true story one. Anything else happening in the near future? Luke Cage comes out near the end of September. That's going to be awesome. It apparently takes place during the events of Season 2 of Daredevil. That's around when it takes place.
So after Jessica Jones, during Season 2 of Daredevil, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because apparently at one point, and I didn't catch it, because who would have thought to catch it? At one point, the night nurse, played by Rosario Dawson, has a cut on her forehead. And Daredevil asked her where she got that. Apparently she got it on Luke Cage.
I see. So even back then they were thinking about tying that in. Interesting. So yeah, we don't have much coming up until the winter season. We do have Luke Cage coming out on TV as far as movies go. We've got Doctor Strange in November.
And of course we have Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl returning to the CW in early October. I believe.
I think so. Most of the fall shows are September,
early
October.
October.
Late September, early October, depending on the show. We got Walking Dead coming back. Fear the Walking Dead comes back.
I stopped watching Fear the Walking Dead some point during the second season.
Yeah.
It just got boring as shit.
It's tough.
The first season was boring as shit too, but
it's
the writers of these shows seem to have such a good premise, and they fail in execution. I still watch The Walking Dead because that show, as much of the problems that it has, it's still enjoyable television. For The Walking Dead, I don't care about any of the characters. Except the one guy. Strand is the only character I care about, and that does not carry a show if you only care about one of them.
Right. Yeah.
The rest of them can all die in a fire. I don't care.
Yep. We're about there too, but we're giving it at least this season, the rest of the season, a chance. And
the singer guy, the Latin guy who was a singer, he's pretty cool. Yep. But other than that, I don't like any of the other characters. They're all either useless or they're useless.
Yeah.
Strand and the other and the Latin sing guy who at the barbershop. They're the only two people who have been any use at all.
And so they
can fire a gun, or they can get information out of somebody, or they have a yacht.
Yeah. We have Rogue One coming toward the end of the year. We also have...
That looks good.
Yeah, it does. This last trailer, honestly, I'm going to say the last trailer redeemed the first one because I was really worried that when they initially...
The blind guy's probably going to get killed by Vader.
Probably. Well, when they originally...
Because you know how much Star Wars likes to kill off badass mentors.
Oh yeah,
they always like to kill off the badass mentor.
But they originally promoted the movie as a war. It was going to be a war movie set in the Star Wars universe, which was a very unique concept to me because they were bringing in the people that worked on Black Hawk Down and stuff to make this movie, and I thought that's really cool. Instead of an adventure film, we're going to get a war movie, which would be a kind of...
No, it seems to be a movie where they're trying to get the Death Star plans to Princess Leia. That seems to be the nutshell plot of this.
Yes.
And the thing, my theory here, because if that's the plot of it, my theory here is that Max von Sydow's character from The Force Awakens is involved with that because at one point during The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren says to Daisy Ridley's character, can't remember her character's name, Rey. REI, I believe, Rey, that he found the map to Luke Skywalker, found most of it in the archives of the Empire. Which means the Death Star plans were probably found there too, which means Max von Sydow's character probably got the piece of the map from there.
Yeah, it's very...
And took it with him. These movies are going to tie in with the rest of the franchise. We know they're going to have little bits of tying in.
But I was worried about when we saw the first trailer the first trailer didn't feel like a war movie. So I thought that they changed their premise, which worried me because I like that concept, especially for a standalone movie. If this is going to be a single snapshot of the Star Wars universe where they can really go all out. We don't have to have a hero character that's going to carry the story into more movies. We don't have to have a long story arc of changing. Like they can encapsulate this one movie into a no holds barred. Like people can die, shit blows up. Like really, really dramatic changes to characters in one movie, and a war movie is a great way to do that because for instance, take Black Hawk Down. Those characters in one movie go through so much. Obviously based on a true story, but still told in such a dramatic fashion where they
cast the right person to play young Han Solo, by the way.
Yeah.
They cast the right person. Did you see Hail Caesar?
No, not yet.
Because that was his breakout role. The guy who's playing him. He was really good in it. So if you haven't seen Hail Caesar, go see it, because now you know the actor who's playing young Han Solo.
Good.
But they also really need to do a Boba Fett movie.
Yeah, I think that's in
because Boba Fett, they have to, because he's the most overrated character in the history of fiction.
Very much so. But so that's it, folks. Go see some movies. Go play some games.
Kubo and the Two Strings. Go see that movie.
Check that
it's
out.
Really good. It'll probably be out of theaters quickly because it didn't get a lot of show times in the first time. The first one that I saw was at 1:35 in the afternoon. It was the earliest show time on a Saturday. That makes no sense. There should have been one in the 12 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
So it's getting shafted on showtimes. You got to see it. It's one of the best movies of the year so far. It's in the running for movie of the year.
Go check it out, folks. And thank you for joining us tonight. Again, if you're watching the recorded episode, subscribe, like, comment, do what you do. We're trying to get to that. We're at 49 subscribers now on the YouTube channel, which is like 3 more than we had when I looked a couple days ago. So thank you guys who just recently subscribed. Subscribe to the channel. Come back, watch the other shows. Come back Saturday for Saturday randomness. I don't know what I'm going to do yet because it's pretty freaking random. But I will probably be playing The Division if I can log into it. And come back next Tuesday for...
Have you played Painkiller?
I have not, but it is on my list of things. I've got so many games on my list, but that is...
It's a game that you should play because it's really fun.
And I might get it for something to stream because I always need new games to stream.
It's absurdly fun.
Awesome.
It's the best first person shooter I've ever played.
Very cool.
Enjoyable.
So thank you for joining us, folks. If you're watching the live feed, if you're watching the recording feed, thanks for coming back to watch that, and join us again for our next show. And you guys have a fantastic rest of your week.